Hi guys, I thought that I would do a really quick update. I'm coming to the end of truck driving school here at Prime, and I thought I would just reflect a little bit. This is my third week here, I think, since I started. I would say the first week is the roughest because you have to do all your paperwork and you have to get everything together, and you're doing your drug testing and your medical card and your agility test. And then you're learning how to work on the simulator, which is different. And you feel unsure of everything that's coming up. It's just new territory. All of it's new territory. You're still looking for the laundry and wondering what the cafeteria hours are and things like that. So that was the roughest week. The second week, when you're actually out over the road with your PSD phase instructor, that's just getting used to driving the truck forward, basically. And hopefully you're getting used to mountain driving, learning to trust that engine brake, learning your skills and keeping the truck in your lane, the trailer in your lane at all times, watching other traffic, watching a block ahead, watching behind you, just being very hyper vigilant and very aware. And just not becoming so tense that because you're driving so many hours that your shoulders start to hurt or your back starts to hurt. Or, I was lucky I was in an automatic, so I didn't have to worry about clutching. So I didn't have to build up that muscle and get my leg muscle in my left leg. I didn't have to get Popeye-legged that week because I was in an automatic. The downside to that is that I have to test in a clutch, with a clutch. And so when I got back, that was one of the first things we had to do was refresh me driving a standard transmission versus an automatic. And so my clutching is still pretty rough. My downshifting is pretty rough still, so we might have to go out and work on that another day. This week, the third week, has been all about learning how to back up. I've already driven forward, now I have to drive backwards. And so there are several maneuvers that you have to do. You have to be able to straight line back, obviously. And no matter what your instructor says, my advice is that you find your own niche when it comes to straight line backing. Because that is, I believe, the most important thing. Is if you can drive that trailer straight backwards and put it exactly where you want to in a straight line, you have to find your own niche to do that. I use the digits and the number or letters on the sides of the trailer. I just keep those evenly spaced by just small adjustments in the steering wheel, either left or right. My trainer suggested using the back of the trailer, which didn't work for me. And then after that, you have to do offset backing. And that's just reference points. That's all it is. It's just reference points and then straight line backing added together. Once you get your straight line backing down, the rest of it isn't so hard because you're just using your reference points. And then parallel parking, which is what I'm going to finish up today, parallel to the left or parallel to the right. Not as bad as it sounds because, again, it's just reference points. That's all you're using. That's how they teach it here. And remember, this isn't real world backing. This is to pass your Missouri Department of Transportation test. And then after that is alley dock, and that's your final maneuver. And you don't have to do both parallel and alley dock for the test. You're only going to do one or the other. You do have to straight line back and offset park, but from what my instructor said, it'll either be alley dock or parallel park. And the only other suggestion I would give is that when you're doing one thing is I would suggest learning your permit, learning those questions before you ever get here, because that's the last thing you need is all of that. You can't do anything about your medical card except make sure you have everything, all your ducks in a row before you come here as far as your medical card. Any notes from doctors, any prescriptions, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you have all that stuff in your email before you get here. Your dates of employment, make sure you have all that before you get here because you just don't need that added stress. And then the only other thing I can say is when it comes to your pre-trip inspection, you have to do it however it works for you. For me, it was just memorizing all the components of suspension and all the components of braking and all the components of a tire, including the mud flap. So And there's 5, 5, and 5 for that. So there's 5 things in each that you have to remember. But if you do it that way, then you don't have to remember the 4 things about the trailer, plus all the suspension and the brakes and the tires and the rear doors and all that. You're just remembering the 4 different things for the trailer, plus your suspension, plus your brakes, plus your tire, which doesn't vary that much, especially brakes. It doesn't vary. So if you can break that down however you need to break that down and just work on that. Go out in that parking lot and work on that and work on that and work on that. So today I should be finishing up parallel parking and starting on alley dock. And usually it takes me the next morning. I have to sleep on it, process it, and then by the next morning I get it. So yeah, I'm at the end. We've been going over pre-trip and I'm shaking, air brake and in-cab inspections and all that. So I feel really prepared for all that. Driving forward, I feel prepared for that. I hope I don't give anybody whiplash with the clutch, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, I just have to finish up my backing and then I'm ready to test out. So I'll keep you updated. All right, ta-ta.